Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all at fifth edition of Digital Transformation Virtual Conclave. We are here for the panel discussion to cybersecurity, securing digital transformation, the way ahead. We have with us some eminent speakers, and I would like to introduce them. We have Mr. Amit Sinha, Director, Information Technology Development Agency, Government of Uttarakhand. I welcome you, Amit, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you.
I welcome Snehil Kumar Singh, Director, Kerala State IT Mission, Department of Electronics and IT, Government of Kerala. Welcome, you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
We have Shri Sanjeev Banzal, Director General, Education and Research Network, Government of India.
Good afternoon, everyone.
We have with us PM Sarvanan, General Manager, Projects and Infra, CEPT, India Postal Services. I welcome you, sir.
Good afternoon to everyone.
I welcome Vijay Devna, General Manager, Infra and Security, MDMS and CISO, Chris. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, welcome. Namaskar.
From the industry, we have Michael Joseph, Director System Engineering, SAARC, Fortinet. I welcome you, Michael. You're on mute. You're on mute. Michael, you are on mute.
Sorry. Good afternoon. Thanks, Farhan, and good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah. Our moderator for this session is Jaspreet Singh, Partner and Leader, Clients and Market, Trust and Transformation, Great Thornton. I welcome you, Jaspreet.
Hello, everybody. Very good afternoon.
And meanwhile, other speakers are all. Sabarish ji has joined. I would like to invite Sabarish Karunakaran, Head Information System Division, Kerala State Council of Science, Government of Kerala. Welcome, sir. Sir, can you unmute yourself and switch on your webcam?
I think
yeah.
Join only as panelists right now. So good afternoon.
Meanwhile, other speakers will join us shortly, and now we can start our session. Jaspreet, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is indeed a real pleasure to be moderating such an esteemed conference on what is probably one of the most topical topics that everybody talks about today: cybersecurity, security, and digital transformation, and the way forward. Right. So before we talk about the way forward, let's probably go back in time, right? I'll talk about 3-4 different incidents that changed how we look at cybersecurity. 2015, 16, 17, being trusted advisor to so many companies, used to go to board meetings and they used to say that, last 10 minutes is reserved for IT, not even cyber, but for IT. And then at least 3 times out of 10 you would get the excuse in the board meetings over, sorry, let's connect in the next session. 2018-19, small tectonic shift happened, and cyber started getting a seat at the table, wherein cyber security was part of every board meeting agenda. Then suddenly COVID came, digital, everybody started talking about digital. I got a joke on WhatsApp, which I like to talk about almost in all my conferences. It said, what is the biggest avenue, or what's the biggest catalyst for so much of digital transformation? And it said COVID-19 was the single most region, because we did not know how this entire work from home scenario will entail. Not only we in the industry knew how work from home scenario would entail. One of the leading reports, which is the World Economic Forum report on global risk, it said that a probability that a virus or a pandemic will hit more than 10 countries at one time is 7%. Right? 2 years from that report, and now we are talking about a virus which has hit almost 180 plus countries, 2 years, and now we are learning to live with it. Right? And now if you go to any board meeting, the first thing they ask is, am I secure? Are my cyber security controls in place? And what is that led to is talk to a lot of CXOs day in and day out, and they tell me one thing. They say, Jaspreet, I don't want to get up in the morning and see my name in the front page of a newspaper because of a cyber attack, or a cyber attack that happened because I was trying to do some digital transformation. So that's more like an opening from my piece, and let's understand from you your initial thoughts. 3-4 minutes, and then we'll get into detailed question answer. So in no particular order, if I would probably invite on how they appear on my screen, Mr. Sarvanan, your initial thoughts, please.
Yeah, actually, ultimately, the digital transformation, what we are looking into it, we are looking to address some problems. If you see that actually the fintech industry, how it is doing now, digital currency. So it addresses that old currencies. Okay, similarly, automotive industry or any other service industry. So they are trying to address some problems. So in that, no, that is the real transformation, how it is really actually. Ultimately, we are going to solve some problems that should be helpful for the customers. See, the customer also will get benefit. The organization also will get benefit out of it. So in this, now, if you see that actually, once the organization started getting benefit, unless otherwise the people who are associated with that how they will get benefit. That's mainly through the process change. Okay, these are all the small things actually getting into it. So if you see that, then when the culture and the people now automatically, we are involving so many people, means automatically the security also getting into the picture. If you see that the security component actually, one is that at the front end, then second is that actually where you are, first is that in the front end where you are capturing the data. Second is that actually, if you see that the transmitting. Third is that at the place where the data rests. So these three places you are taking care of, all these three, the automatically your data is secured. Actually, I was ADG operations at the UIDAI for 5 years actually with this thing. We too gave actually prime importance to the security. Otherwise, no, the UID will be every day in the newspaper only, the way the things are going on. So security is a prime concern. In fact, actually, all the organizations now it's realized and also giving importance on day-to-day basis. This is my initial thought. Then we can discuss further when we go ahead.
Sure. Thank you so much. Right. Right from saying you need to look at user problem, right, rather than looking at a solution directly. Understand a problem and try and find a solution to it. You spoke about things like digital currency. Excellent. And which is something which I would probably want to discuss as we go ahead. Mr. Vijay, your initial thoughts, please.
Yeah, thanks for giving me an opportunity to present our views. You all know railways, how old it is as a business, and not very much has changed on that side of the business where we carry goods and passengers. Incidentally, railways has been a pioneer in introducing IT into the service sector in India. And we started somewhere in 1964, maybe even before my birth. So, but with the advancement of IT in the other sectors like fintech, the other service sectors, the railways also has to meet the expectations of its customers, and also the ticketing and all the other freight booking, etc., have moved into the IT domain. As Jaspreet rightly pointed out, that IT always was a service, to the main business, which happens to be the transport, and IT security has been even further behind. And the focus on IT security, in my view, in the government has still not gone to the level which I will like, which is the safety concerns in terms of goods and passenger movement. So I will like that it should get the same level of board and higher management focus for the IT security also, because unlike many other industries where they are dependent on the real-time transactions, for us, real-time information availability is the biggest concern. I am not so much bothered about say theft of the data or because किसी और के किसी काम का है भी नहीं हमारा data. So, but I am concerned about the availability where people damage my systems or damage my information flow, and that affects my business and my earnings that way. Thank you.
Sure, I think excellent points around security. IT started getting seat at the table. When will security get a seat at the table? Excellent. Maybe some organizations it has started. It's a journey, right? It cannot happen overnight. And from a CIA perspective, confidentiality, integrity, availability perspective, you said availability is probably your biggest criteria. And being somebody who's always booked his tickets online, I think that's a real piece. I don't want to go back to my college days where we had to stand 2 hours in line to book a ticket. Thanks for that. Mr. Snehil, over to you, please.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon, everyone. So I have a slightly different approach towards when you mentioned cybersecurity. So when we talk about cybersecurity in the governance space, so since we deal with I'm like in the IT mission, we deal with all the government related applications. I see it as a interaction between the citizen and the government. Now, for every services or every interaction with the government, a citizen has a trust in the sense of, okay, I am giving so and so information. In return, the government will be providing me either a basic certificate or basic maybe ration or maybe some cash transfers or whatever it is. So when that information has been transferred from an individual to the government, it's government's responsibility that we keep it secure. Number one. Number two, it should not be misused in any other way. And of course, we have to design our systems across the spectrum so that it is not being misused. And probably with coming of the Aadhaar, it helped the governance in general a lot. Also, it opened up more avenues on how we have to develop our systems across. That is one part of what I deal with, what I understand with cybersecurity, ensuring that the data which is with us is not used in some ways which it should not be. Then subsequent to that, we, as we develop understanding over the cybersecurity in general, we started understanding that, okay, all our applications, all the websites which we are hosting, they're vulnerable. And those vulnerabilities have to be understood by us so that we can design our application in a way that it is more secure. And over the past 5 to 6 years, I would say that, we have also ensured that we put our focus, put our energy in that. And subsequent to that, our data centers, the state data center that we manage have improved in terms of performance. We have been able to filter out applications which are not audited properly, which are not secured in a particular fashion. And at the same time, we have had multiple attacks as well. Very simple defacement on some particular websites, as well as thankfully there has not been a direct data theft. But yeah, there have been direct attacks and we have been able to manage it. And looking in the future, we have to strengthen our security teams. We have a CERT Kerala also, on lines of CERT India. We have to strengthen our infrastructure so that it is secured in the coming future, because the people who want to create some trouble are much more advanced than government is. And
Right.
we always have to keep our mind ahead with them. We always play a catch-up game. And sadly, or it's just the way it is.
No, excellent points, Snehil. I think it's a conduit between the citizen and the government. Of course, cyber plays a key role so that data does not go into wrong hands. And I especially loved your last point. It's the fact, and it's always been there in front of us, right? The cyber criminals are, at least, you said 2 steps, I would probably say 10 steps ahead of us. They're talking about another generation of cyber attacks, right? And no citizen would want to get up, or no government body would want to get up and realize that they've had a massive data breach, given that the kind of data that all of you hold is such sensitive to an individual. With that, Mr. Kumar, Mr. Amit Kumar, your initial thoughts, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I agree to what Mr. Vijay said, that yes, we should not think too much about our confidentiality of data. In India, we have already seen, we have too much things in open that, especially as a government point of view, I can say that almost everything in our life is totally open. We are so transparent. So we don't think of that yes, confidentiality could be an issue in the future, but presently we should be on a war footing. We should go digital and face the cyber criminal. Unless we go digital, we can't just devise a methodology to fight the cyber criminals. So we have to first, जैसे कहते हैं कि पहले आप पानी में कूदो, तब स्विमिंग आएगी. आप बाहर से सोचते रहो कि पानी ठंडा है, आपको स्विमिंग नहीं आती है, वो सोल्यूशन नहीं है. आपको घुसना पड़ेगा. मतलब जो लोग, मैं तो यहाँ गवर्नमेंट में कई बार लोगों को समझाता रहता हूँ, मतलब कि भाई, just because of the accident, have you stopped using your car? No. Have you stopped moving on the road? No. So just go. Why you are so threatened and thinking that no, this thing will result in hacking of our data? What is this data? See, I am heading the Vigilance Department of Uttarakhand. And apart from that, I am also Director of IT Department. So my vigilance people initially said, no, sir, we can't go on e-office because we are very confidential people. So I said, okay, bhai, just tell me your level of confidentiality. A person comes from Vigilance Department and get a file signed me in IT Department, which is almost 40 kilometers, 30 kilometers away. So from one point to other point, he comes all the way to get a file signed to me. And then I just asked him, ki, bhai, what has happened to that note sheet? How many people have seen it? Can you ensure that nobody has seen it? हम तो यहाँ पे NFTs तक की बात करने लगे हैं आजकल इंटरनेट पे, और हम यहाँ पर इस बात से डर रहे हैं कि हमारी डेटा लीक हो जाए. कौन सी डेटा लीक होगी भाई? Come on e-office. So I deliberately forced. In Uttarakhand, vigilance would be one of the first department which has gone on e-office, because I forced them to come on e-office, because at least then I should know that from where the file is emanated and where it is actually ending, who are responsible to leak the data. So, in my opinion, there are, what I have seen, there are two basic levels on which we should look at this digital transformation and cybersecurity. The one would be at the machine level, like as Mr. Snehil said, that the state data center should be firstly secured, and other at the user level. Like for us at the government department, we have lots of citizen-centric services. So we have to teach our men, we have to teach our population. Here I have tied up with the CSCs, the VLE of the CSCs. I have made them cyber warriors. I've tried to, I'm giving continuous training to them. So at least the village people should understand that yes, this is OTP should not be shared with other people. You should not get such type of fraud calls. जैसे वो 419 नाइजीरियन फ्रॉड्स पहले हुआ करते थे, आपकी लॉटरी निकल गई और आपको ऐसा करना पड़ेगा वैसा. तो उन सब चीजों से उनको समझाना बहुत जरूरी है. तो हमारी ये कहते हैं कि एक युद्ध स्तर की ट्रेनिंग, ये हमारे, अगर आज की डेट में मैं डिजिटल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन की बात करूंगा, तो वी शुड हैव अ ह्यूज टीम ऑफ साइबर वॉरियर्स who will in turn continuously train the lower and lower ranks, because it's a continuous process. And till we, there's nothing called achievement of a target. This is not an achievement target. It is a continuous process. In this process, everybody has to be taught. Yes, at least he should be aware. अभी क्या हो रहा है? देखो तुम्हारा डेटा, अभी जैसे I am also handling my state data center. So people come and say, no, sir, our data is very confidential. I want to make another video for this. I have to be assigned a separate chassis for this. I just ask him whether once your data has gone digital, how much secure a particular VM is and how much secure a blade is. Can you differentiate? You want to keep that blade server in a chassis, in a rack in your office, in a very third grade data center, which you actually call a data center, manned by 2-3 people, whereas the present state data center is being manned by a good structure. So, these things, it's actually very tough in government to teach and to let your seniors understand. So,
Right.
For the last 4 years, I've seen it. On that note, I'm closing up. Thank you.
Excellent points. I think 2-3 points which really hit hard. Number one was, if it has gone digital, at least you have a trail, right? Like you said, the 30 kilometers, you have no trail. Who's seen that file? Who's not seen that file? But if it has gone digital, I would definitely have a trail on who's seen that. At least I know if it's been accessed by the wrong hands or not. And the second piece, I think one of the mentors I work with is a CEO of a large multinational bank, and he told me the same thing. He says, Jaspreet, in cybersecurity and digital transformation, user awareness is the key.
Yes.
He says, if you fix this user awareness problem, then we are done for life. And it's a continuous process. Number two, he says, in this, everybody has a role to play, right from the CEO of the organization to the last level of guard who's actually monitoring your physical office location has a role, and their trainings need to be done accordingly. With that, thank you so much. I'll come back to you with that. Sanjeev ji, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jaspreet ji, and good afternoon to everyone. And I agree with all the speakers, my previous speakers on this topic, that we need to be very, very aware about if we want to prevent any kind of cyber attack or cyber threat. We first understand that what is digital transformation actually. Digital transformation is actually integration of digital technology in all areas of business or life or governance. So it is actually fundamentally change the way we function or we operate or we deliver value to the customer in case whether we are government or in business. So it's a kind of cultural change that require organization to continuously challenge the status quo, experiment and get comfortable with the failure if any. So this digital transformation is not only to address the problems as Mr. Sarvanan has said, but also it has got contours to increase productivity or profitability, improving the process and process automation to cut the cost, etc., or to value addition in the existing product or giving a better experience to the consumer, etc. And you rightly at the beginning has said, Jaspreet ji, that it's a recent pandemic which has actually changed the way we function today. And it has actually, of course, it has got its own pitfall, but as far as digital transformation is concerned, it has taken us almost a decade ahead actually for adopting the digital way of life. By way of we have seen the work from home or retailers, they are shifting to online selling or online buying. Then we have digital healthcare institutions, telemedicine, online classes, etc. So many things, online banking. So many things have happened because of this pandemic, and we have changed over to the digital transformation in a way. And so the driving force behind this digital transformation, we know it's the technological advancements. Today, if you have seen, internet is all prevalent, broadband is available every nook and corner of the country. We have got cloud-based technologies, we have got blockchain technology, AI, ML, deep learning, so many things are coming. So the way we are changing ourselves, it is very important that we should be aware about the cyber threat also, because we are becoming more and more vulnerable nowadays. So cyber security, it's the thing which has to be built in all our activities or operations or processes or customer relationship, etc. And we should, for that, we, of course, all the organization and government, they have to have robust IT infrastructure, IT processes should be very well defined. We should have a resilience against the cyber attack, and we should create value, business value by staying ahead in the cyber threat management curve.
Right.
You might have read about the Gartner report. We said that by 2025, 30% of the critical infrastructure organization will experience a security breach, even though that may even result in the halting of operations or mission critical cyber physical systems, etc. This is all despite all the steps which we take actually. So as has been said that it's a catch-22 kind of situation. We are doing something, they are much more ahead, these cyber criminals and cyber hackers, etc., and they are affecting us. So the thing, what I feel that the key of everything is the awareness. We have to aware that what kind of threats which may come. We need to aware that how to prevent those threats and how to take corrective action in case something happens like that.
Right. So I think excellent points, especially around the national critical infrastructure of that Gartner report. I'm sure you would have read in October, the US gas pipeline thing that happened, right? Brought the entire city down.
Yes.
God forbid if something were to happen to us, how would we react? And I think in your starting, you also mentioned two very important points on cyber and digital transformation. It's also a competitive advantage. It is also bringing better efficiency. It is also bringing in better controls, right? Not only am I protecting myself, but I'm also advancing, which is very, 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 very important, right? And we'll talk about that when we go ahead. Mr. Sabri, your initial thoughts, please.
Good afternoon, all, and heard valuable points from all the fellow panelists. So let me put, the first point from Jaspreet. The digital transformation leadership award should be given to Mr. COVID, because what would have been happened within the next 20 years. It is COVID has made it happen in 2 months' time. Though we have done a lot of Digidan Melas and stuff like that, no one was no one was really interested in imbibing that technology or using digital mode of transfer, even in case of money or be it in e-governance. So now digital has become the default, and everyone has been now glued onto mobiles, and the thing that what I feel is the future government will be in everyone's palm, or maybe in the mobile, or you can think about evolution from mobile governance to ubiquitous government, or wherever you go. So digital is the default. Second thing is, as far as the government is concerned, our first priority was to digitize everything, and thanks to the national and state governments who have created a lot of platforms, especially wonderful platforms like just like Snehil sir told, we have Aadhaar, which is an authentication platform, which is pan global, or it's accessible from anywhere. Your identity will be established. So the digitization was the first priority, and many departments and states was in that digitization spree. But when it comes to security, it has always been a neglected child, and as you know, neglected child will give you the most will be the most problematic. And and another thing is that we were also very much focused on protecting our the critical infrastructure like state data centers, and less time has been devoted or attention has been given to securing our peripheries. The typical example can be like the Bangladeshi Central Bank breach, where they put in a lot of money and effort into protecting the core infrastructure, but fail to protect the edge infrastructure.
Right.
Yes. So that is my thought on that. So maybe we should give a much focus for cyber security, and many of the speakers already told that awareness creation is one of the basic things.
Right.
The capacity building.
Right. I think very, very well said points, especially around the neglected child. I'll use it for my future conferences. Very, very interesting. Last but not the least, Michael, would like to bring you in. We've had views from people on the ground, right? From our fellow industry, somebody who represents a product community, right? And is looking at this problem outside in rather than inside out, how everybody else is seeing. What are your initial thoughts, please?
So
am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay.
So just to start with, since multiple speakers were talking about the COVID situation, just to highlight the amount of digital world and the digital services, what as any individual what we consume. Think about a COVID where if the digital technology was not there, when your flat was getting quarantined, or when a specific area was getting isolated, etc. What would you have done to procure groceries, to get your food, etc. Now this is all happening in today's world because of this digital transformation and the digital platforms which are there. Now Vijay was talking about Chris, and I'm sure everybody has past experiences of standing in big lines for ticketing, to now everybody goes to IRCTC, and IRCTC has evolved over a period of time from availability perspective, etc. The other challenge, practically what I see, was that we had no information how to see whether the train was running on time, and normally you go to the railway station and then you see that train is late for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Now there are technologies available where you can track a train literally 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, etc. So we are adopting digital technology in every way, whether you are a home user, whether you are an employee, whether you are a consumer of whatever nature. So I would say that digital awareness and security awareness is one fundamental platform which you need it at the organization level. But even as individuals sitting at home, students, housewives, because they all use digital technology in some form or other. And in today's world, a lot of times you are making payment in some form, whether it's Google Pay or through other digital platforms, etc. So there is huge amount of digital consumption which is happening. So this awareness, security awareness has to happen in all walks of life. And I, coming from a security vendor perspective, I wouldn't say product. I had been in the security industry for 20 years, and it has been a wonderful journey. And as Jaspreet, you also say that this is a never-ending story. Technology is evolving, and it can be used for good and it can be used for bad as well. Now, when we are talking about blockchains, or when you're talking about AI, ML, etc. Now, if you look at it, the bad actors are also using the same technology to get their job done in a faster manner, in a more intelligent manner, etc. So it is always going to be a cat and mouse game, and it is always going to be an evolving game where one has to be on the top of their game to ensure that the right vigilance, the right monitoring, and the right adoption of technology based on what is the field of business what you are in, based on the nature, sensitivity, etc. You need to see as to know what are the kind of security measures, security framework, what one has to keep in mind with the kind of digital transformation one has to get into mind. And the rest, maybe when we are doing the specific questions, maybe I'll add on to it.
Excellent points you mentioned about the entire digital piece, technology, digital consumption. I think from the time you get up in the morning, you switch on your TV to look at your Amazon, Netflixes, to when you go to sleep, reading newspapers. Mr. Amit so passionately spoke about NFTs, investments, digital payments. I think, if I were to devise a quotient called a digital quotient, I would probably be spending my time 85 to 90% in that digital piece, and about 10% of life somewhere else. And then, since you were the last one to go, I'll now start with you, Michael. So every aspect of a business, right? And you gave a great example from Chris, right, from the railways. I'm a very, very frequent user of our railways system. And you rightly mentioned there are apps, right? Now, not only can you track, you said 5 to 10 minutes, there are apps which tell you how many seconds the train is late or early, and which recent landmark have they crossed, right to the level of what crossing have they crossed recently, to that nth level of detail, to where your coach is going to be. And you have to believe it, try and order some food on any of these online platforms, and you get it on your train. The service, the kind of work Chris is doing, integrating with some of these providers, is amazing. So while digital is being the forefront of it, right, what role does cyber would have to play? You're on mute, sorry. Hello?
So let's take the classic example of IRCTC. I'm sure Vijay would agree to me, or the team would agree to me. From availability, what he was stressing on, I'm sure as users of IRCTC, during the tatkal starting time of 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever the time, getting in and getting a ticket within that first 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the availability and the kind of misuse what was happening, maybe because of the bad actors who were able to penetrate that system, and then manipulate that system, etc. So the availability becomes a critical factor, and security can play a big role there, because somebody who is against that, for example, somebody who wants to discourage people from using the IRCTC, maybe they have vested interest so that people may use buses, or they will use airlines, etc. So there could be a lot of vested interest where somebody wants to ensure that IRCTC doesn't work fine. So it can be a simple, very small DDoS attack to large scale attacks, which is happening now. If you look at our Central Railways, it's one of the largest organizations in the world, employing the largest number of people, etc. So from an availability perspective, protecting that infrastructure, I'm sure Vijay would agree that security plays a very, very vital role. And obviously the backend IT infrastructure, from the application level, from the server level, etc. There are from availability, there are other factors also coming into play. Equally, security is also one big important factor. And I'm sure if you look at IRCTC from an availability perspective, starting from one captcha at the time of logging in, now there is one more captcha which is happening before you make a payment. So this robotic, automatic booking of systems can be prevented. So there is a lot of security, what you build at the application level, at the network level, at the various levels, so that the services and the availability can be taken into consideration. So that's a classic example, what I would say here.
Thank you, Michael. Excellent point. And since, sorry, Vijay, Mr. Vijay, we've now talking about IRCTC, so and the kind of revolution you're doing, I thought this question should go to you first before I probably ask Mr. Amit, Mr. Sarvanan, or anybody else to comment on it, right? It's a balance, right? Catch-22. I think Mr. Sanjeev mentioned it's a catch-22, and I would, with so many new technologies also coming in, AI, ML, etc. How do you think that we can't live without the right cyber skills? So would you want to embrace new technologies? Would you want to keep everything locked up? And I'll tell you, somebody asked me, what's the safest computer in the world? And ask you to everybody. Can anybody answer what's the safest computer in this world? Anyone?
Disconnected computer.
Keep it at the home without any connectivity.
Without connectivity, disconnected. Anybody else? Just a fun question, right?
That's Dimag.
Oh, no, excellent. Sir, वो बहुत advanced है. That's a very advanced answer. I wouldn't probably.
No computer.
So actually, I was in a panel and I was asked this question. This is about 3 odd years ago, and the moderator said the safest computer in the one is obviously which is one shut down, disconnected from the internet, put it in a bag, chained and thrown into the ocean. So then coming back to you, Mr. Vijay, how do you balance innovation, new technologies, AI, ML, etc., everything on blockchain to security? Your thoughts, please.
Good point that Michael has got us all on the railways platform. I will like to clarify a few certain things. I do not represent the team of IRCTC. It's a different organization. Yes, we run the backend for IRCTC, both the traditional window ticketing as well as the web ticketing. The systems are with us, and we take care of the programming and maintenance as well. Now, coming to the balance between security versus convenience, you rightly hit the point that every time we introduce a CAPTCHA, second CAPTCHA, or behavioral analytics, as we call it, the genuine user is at a loss. Naturally, he can't figure out these changes so quickly. Whereas the so-called our intelligent hacker, he is the first person to figure out one day before we have, today morning we have opened, he figures it out yesterday evening when it is under testing, or somebody from inside has already told him. I will take it all down to the money and motivation. The adversary or my tout, who is also a citizen of India, he is doing it for money. He is not, after hitting IRCTC by something and all that, because his business also runs on IRCTC only. जब लोग चलेंगे तो ही तो टिकट बिकेंगे और तभी उसका भी पैसा आएगा. So it is all boils down to the cost benefit analysis, or you so-called balance. Now you all very well know, it is now printed on the ticket that we do not make a lot of money, or sometimes we don't make any money on some classes of tickets. So convincing the higher ups in putting more and more tools and technologies, AI, ML and all that, just to detect the tout and just to ward him off, doesn't wash much with the higher management.
Excellent point.
कहते पैसे कहाँ आ रहे हैं? पैसे, अच्छा, second part of the problem is there is no loss to the railways, whether the ticket is sold through a tout or whether the ticket is genuine buyer. Ultimately, we ensure, at least that much we ensure, that the money comes from bank to railways coffers.
Excellent
So,
point. Excellent
जब
point.
पैसे नहीं जा रहे हैं तो इतना सब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्यों खड़ा कर रहे हो? ये रोकना है, वो रोकना है, इसको भी रोकना है. So, and second part of the problem which no money can solve is our internal threats. There I will agree with Mr. Amit Sinha that I need to educate not only the general public not to fall for all those tout scams. I have to educate a large population of my own employees, which somebody might have rightly pointed out. It is 13.7 lakh people. Now,
Wow.
and almost 60,000 of them are changing every year, retiring, and new people are inducting. Training all of them on some aspect of IT security, whether it is ticketing, whether it is freight booking, whether it is manufacturing, train operations, here, there. I mean, everywhere IT is there and everywhere we have to provide security. And my main job, I feel, is to, number one, keep a visible watch. And second is to handhold my users to use the system securely. And that is,
Right.
a continuous job. It is never going to end. As the technology progresses, our job also progresses with that.
Perfect. Mr. Amit, Mr. Sabashish, I'll ask you to also comment on this, but just a very important piece or a very nice piece which I also read somewhere was saying designing a security solution is like designing a house, right? In house also you have various levels of security. For your locker, old age locker that you would put a different kind of security. And not every room in the house you will put a retina scanner, right? It's like designing office. So the layered security piece and doing a cost benefit analysis, right? And interestingly, we were working with a satellite company to develop a business continuity plan for their satellite. The cost of putting a satellite in orbit was 6 crores, right? And his entire business of that small channel that he used to run in south of India was about 3 crores, right? Cost benefit. So even if the satellite goes, nothing goes, right? You can still take a downtime, but you can't afford to put another satellite. So excellent point, Vijay. Mr. Amit, over to you. Your thoughts on this, please. On security as an enabler versus the advancement of technologies.
See, I'll give you one example. In fact, I always used to give this to my men. What happened that the endpoint security, the client which is at the end of either mobile phone or a computer accessing the government network. So I used to say that put these antivirus agent on your system. Sir, वो system बड़ा slow हो जाता है, काम नहीं कर पाता है. मैं एक बड़ी छोटी सी चीज कहता हूँ, भाई तू हाईवे पे चल रहा है, तूने दारू पी रखी है, तुझे नींद आ रही है, तू ध्यान से चलाता है ना, धीरे चलता है, उस समय क्यों चलता है धीरे? क्योंकि तेरा एक्सीडेंट हो सकता है. So you always have this thing in your mind that yes, the antivirus will scan your system. It will protect the bad bot to come to you. So it will take its time. So you have to make it a habit that yes, this antivirus will go to slightly slow my system. It has to be in your, thinking. See, earlier we used to wait. We used to see those browsing sign on the computer, and still we used to wait for the next page to come. So at that time, we used to wait for that. Now it's so fast that we don't wait, and we have forgotten that also. With the high speed of bandwidth, we have forgotten it. So it is in the habit. So you have to inculcate this habit of having an agent, having antivirus in our system, having our system repatched and with the latest patch available. Because these habits we don't have in ourselves. Because we always say yes. सर थोड़ा स्लो हो जाएगा सर, फिर बड़ी दिक्कत आती है, मेरा तो 2 GB रैम है, 4 GB रैम है, इसमें चलता ही नहीं है एजेंट। मैंने कहा देख थोड़ा स्लो हो जाएगा, बट ये हैबिट मैं वही कह रहा हूँ ना, मेरा रोल एज अ गवर्नमेंट ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट इस पर नहीं कि मैं फोर्टिनेट का सर्वर ले लूं या चेक पॉइंट का सर्वर ले लूं और अपने डेटा सेंटर में लगा दूं बेस्ट पॉसिबल उसकी एसओपी लगा के और उसकी पॉलिसी लगा के चलाऊं, या फिर मैं अपने कॉमन आदमी को सिखाऊंगा कि तू सिंपल सा एक एंटीवायरस लगा के अपने सिस्टम को रन कर। You have to be secure at your level. Maybe your system is polluting my data center because it's connected to the statewide network. So, my main motto of this present exercise as Director of Information Technology in Uttarakhand state is to train as many people as possible. Because that I think that is my mission. That even if for a little bit of security, one has to be knowing it. Yes, your computer system is vulnerable. You are using an older version of this software, so you have to update it as quick as possible. You have used this password for more than a year. You have to change this password. You should be knowing how much compromised these passwords can be. So I think continuous education is a very important task, which in government we generally we avoid and we don't spend money on this also.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir.
In ERNET, we are doing many trainings on the cyber security front for the government officers and officials to know that how they are vulnerable and what steps they should take to protect themselves and their systems.
Sure. Mr. Sabrish, your viewpoints and also another interesting thing which I read, sir, Mr. Amit, sir, to your point was car mein brakes kyun hoti hai? Just for the fact that it can go faster. The brakes enable the cars to go much more faster. So that's right. That's the same point as you mentioned about having an antivirus in a machine. Thank you so much. Mr. Sabrish, please.
Yes. Audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible. I can hear you at least.
Okay. I think technology is a double-edged sword, and it can be an enabler, and as some of the panelists mentioned, the hackers or the evil geniuses are at least 10 steps ahead of what we are. We are just like a shy coy bride. We always walk 10 steps behind them. So it is like that. So all the advancements, tools like quantum computing, high performance computing, and parallel algorithms, all of them are many of things are now in the open domain, and many toolkits are also there. It's now just become just like a child's play, where you can just like you put in a Lego land, you can create a DDoS, you can orchestrate a DDoS attack, or maybe create more advanced weapons, and using this quantum computing and other advanced technological tools, even the blockchain hashes can be broken within maybe hours or maybe a matter of seconds. So it is one-way enabler, and second thing is it can also be used for the good reasons. AI, ML, and other stuff can be used to create what you call you can watch the perimeter, or you can watch how your internal systems work, and that can give you a proactive inputs or insights as to or you can even predict there's a breach and some attack is going to come. So that is, so in a way it's like a double-edged sword. So it can be used for good as well as for bad.
Thank you so much. Next question to you, Mr. Sarvanan and Mr. Snehil. Both of you can decide who would want to go first. Again, everybody wants to go digital, right? In as many meetings you do, probably much more than me, you would have heard that I want to go digital, I want to go digital. And endorser, obviously, digital culture. What advice would you give organizations who are just starting out or taking baby steps? Mr. Sarvanan, if you want to go first, please.
Yeah, thank you, Jaspreet. Yeah, if you see that actually, no, I'll take this India Post as one of the example. Actually, we do have 28,000 post offices and departmental offices, in fact, then 130,000 branch offices. Generally, now people will feel that converting the analog into digital, no, it's called digital transformation. In fact, no, that is not the real digital transformation. In fact, we went for the phase 1 of computerization in 2012. We have connected all these post offices. We try to actually bring some benefits, either banking, insurance solution, or postal and logistics, some benefits because of the digitalization to the customer. In fact, it was a little bit success. Where we have failed was that the process change. Actually, that complete process change, we could not bring it into the initial phase of the computerization. In fact, the phase 2, what the department is planning is that entirely to change the process and also bring the actually latest technology and also bring the flexibility in the system, government system. By that way, the government also can actually change very fast. See what the contracts decided over the period of 10 years, still it's being acted because the government, the contracts, it and all actually going on together actually. So next is that actually it cannot be changed, and also if you want to change it, the government has to pay huge price. It's not easily possible. So that kind of flexibility we are trying to bring in. That itself, it's a great thing. The second is the actually culture. The culture in the sense, as everyone in the panelist, everyone said actually, okay, there are the 3 places the security involves. One is that actually at the front end, second is that on the transmission, the third is at the back end actually. If we take care of that front end where our actually internal customers, our employees, actually, if we are taken care of them properly, then the transmission and the back end, we can protect them. So these 2 things, one is that process change, second is that internal customer education. If you make it properly, the third thing is that what is the goal are we going to achieve it? What kind of benefit are we going to give our customer? And what is the vision are we going to set our organizations? If we are clear all these 4 aspects, then automatically we can achieve our digital transformation. This technology and all, it's quietly changing, fast moving. In fact, 2 years, the lifespan is that actually beyond that it changes. So how fast our internal team to adopt those kind of technologies, that also we should keep it in mind. So by that way, we can swiftly, we can move forward. In fact, all the government departments actually are getting into that mode. If you see that actually the UPI, it created the revolution in terms of the digital, financial inclusion and also the financial transactions. Other, if you see that actually identifying the individual, actually created the revolution. Based on that, actually they created a platform. In fact, actually based on that, even Google wants to do the same kind of UPI at the America. So India now slowly all the government departments getting into the way that we are looking the other departments, and also we are getting into it, changing our process, creating awareness among our internal customers and the officials, and also trying to help the citizens. So these are the small changes we do it. Definitely we can achieve the benefits of the digital transformation. This is the thing what I feel. Yeah, Mr. Smith, you can go. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So basically, I completely agree with my fellow panelist here in saying that when you are onboarding a new technology, you need to have a clear line of procedures that you have to establish. Now, those procedures will change in the sense that, of course, the technology will evolve and the hardware will change, the software will change, the attacks might differ. But at the end of the day, the philosophy should stay the same. And I'm not talking about digitization in terms of getting 1,000 laptops and 1,000 desktops. That time is gone. Now we need to start looking at, when you're talking about digital, is how are we managing our databases, how are we managing our applications, and all those kind of things. In terms of front end interfaces, of course, we need a training in terms of how how better we can protect our systems. And I'll give you a very simple example which we are working on in Kerala right now. So we are trying to make a unified registry. A unified registry is going to basically integrate different databases of different departments, make it at one place, so the government can actually use that data in sense of better providing facilities to the public, and also optimizing the spending that we do in terms of the time, in terms of the money. For example, the finance department can do analysis of how much money they have to spend out at what particular durations. And the window is pretty big. Like, you can do a lot of things with that thing. Now, when we're doing that, I have to establish a very clear-cut rules in terms of what data which we are going to fetch, what kind of information is accessible to what, who is going to be the source of truth. So because these are very vital information at that aspect. Now, coming to when the entire discussion about cybersecurity, I'll tell you what bad can go, what wrong can happen if the data is in wrong hands and we're not careful. In government, I think government is the biggest holder of the information. Like, the amount of data that we have is incredible. We have just not even consolidated it at one place, and it's not possible. Also, it should not be done. But imagine a person knowing that in particular village, cases of XYZ disease is high. Now, that information, if misused, can be misused by insurance agencies, can be misused by advertisement agencies, and those are public information. But when it is with government, it's fine, because we are not intending it to sell it off. But if it is out in public only to some players, it's very dangerous. So, which brings me to the entire fact of transparency in our infrastructure that we make, in the rules and the procedure that we make. So, especially coming from the government sector, I can very clearly say that whatever we design, whatever systems we design, whatever technology we adopt, we have to ensure that it should be transparent in the sense of the citizen and in the sense of government departments also. Because once you start hiding things, it changes the dimension. And the cyber attacks are also more vulnerable, right? Because you're hiding information, you're protecting information. That is where the information becomes vital. So either, right. And Aadhaar gave a brilliant, brilliant backbone to the entire data policy of the country, I would say, because it established that, okay, we as an individual, I can identify myself, but also do other things with that ID, which is beautiful in that aspect. And obviously, we were careful, and Aadhaar, UIDAI has been very careful in how you want to approach. So we are also procuring an Aadhaar vault specifically for that. Mr. Sarvanan would be better appreciating the fact that we have dedicated our efforts in procuring certain hardwares, HSM modules for that particular thing. So I think the infrastructure, whatever we onboard, should go ahead without any hesitation. But the theory behind it and the rules that we establish should be transparent and accountable, because we're dealing with a lot of data which we are not at present aware of.
Excellent points on knowing where the data is. I think you've touched a chord with everybody. And before I come to you, Sanjeev, Michael, anything you want to talk about this entire knowing the entire data piece, plus the proposed data protection bill coming into picture? How do we look at this aspect?
Yeah, so Jaspreet, just to touch upon some of the points what some of the panelists were mentioning about. When we are talking about digital transformation, obviously, along with the digital transformation, there is a security transformation also which has to happen, because security is of paramount importance, from availability, data protection, etc. There are various aspects where the security has to play a vital role. Now, when we talk about security, whether it is for private organizations or for government organizations, one needs to keep in mind that the fundamental thing what one needs to keep in mind is attackers or the hackers never work in silos. They leverage the latest of the technologies, they leverage, coordinate, and they come out with tools with the latest technologies, etc. But unfortunately, what has been the tradition, or even what is something which is getting practiced even today in the organizations, is when you deploy security solutions, the security solutions works in silos. Now, in today's world, where the security or the the security or the hacking tools are so sophisticated and so modern, if your security controls are working in silos, it is not going to give you the result, the intended results for which you have deployed the security solutions. And to highlight that, if you look at the top strategic technology trends for 2022 from Gartner, there is a mention of a cybersecurity mesh. There is something called CSMA, cybersecurity mesh architecture. What they are talking about is a security framework or a security architecture, what you form, where all the security products, what you deploy, are able to communicate through a certain manner, and also from an operational efficiency, how to have a single dashboard where you get the visibility, how to have a single management plane or threat intelligence, which can be shared across the tools using whatever technologies. And what they are talking about is either you can adopt a vendor-led approach where there are companies where they give you X number of security solutions to take care of certain security aspects, and then you adopt other security products. Other way around is you can have point products, and then you need to ensure that they are all integrated together to achieve the same. And what they say is that if somebody is following this CSMA architecture, they say by 2025, when there is a security breach happening, your probability of the damage which can cause to it can be reduced by 90%. Now, I'm pretty sure this is applicable even from an Indian perspective, where India is no more isolated from these attacks, what we see in Europe or US or whatever. We also have the state-sponsored threats, what especially the government agencies need to be more aware of. And we also have threats coming from everywhere because the more and more digital adoption which is happening. Like now if you look at M-Parivahan or this UID, what we are talking about, or various technologies like that, there is more and more enablers and data which can be extracted, and if it falls in the wrong hands, it can be dangerous. And similarly, my last point what I want to put is that when you're talking about threat vectors using the latest technologies from AI, ML, etc. Now I'm sure everybody is aware of this MeitY attack framework as to know what are the different stages as to what one needs to do and how to take care, etc. So from an AI ML perspective, now there is also something called MeitY Atlas, where they are talking about from an AI perspective, how the threat actors are trying to extract the vulnerabilities in that, and then what are the different scene aspects what one needs to look into. So what I would say is threats are evolving, security is evolving, business is evolving, more and more digital adoption is happening for ease of use or faster reach of services to the customers, that is typically from a government services, etc. So one needs to keep the user awareness, security awareness, and the security technologies what you adopt. Ensure that you work in a framework where they are able to collaborate so that it gives you the right results what you're looking for. That's
sure.
it.
I think brilliantly summed up, right? It's like 10-minute capsule on the entire esteemed panel discussion. Mr. Sanjeev, so many people talk about so many things happening on cyber. Any viewpoint on the steps government is also taking from a cyber perspective? Before that, I'll and after that, sorry, Vijay sir, I'll come to you for your closing comments.
So thank you very much. Actually, government is very well aware about the cyber threat, and in the state of Kerala, they have got certain there for Kerala. At India, highest level at the certain India we are having. And cyber security, it's actually continuous process. You have to be continuously aware about it. You have to be continuously update yourself. And government organization, government is aware of it, and they have allocated certain necessary budget also to address the cyber security thing. The MeitY, that's Ministry of Electronics and IT, they have directed all the central government ministry and department or state government to earmark 10% of their annual IT budget to implement the cyber security. Another thing which has been done by institutions like critical IT systems should contact NCC IPS, that is National Critical Information Infrastructure Protection Center for protection of the critical information as per the provisions of Information Technology Act of 2000. And government should, departments and institutions, they should follow the guidelines which have been issued by chief information security officers, and they have been empowered and provided adequate resources for security applications, infrastructure, and compliances. And the organization have been advised by certain to carry out audit, which is very, very important, by the empaneled auditors of certain
Right.
at the time to time to audit their IT systems and take necessary corrective steps whenever there is any vulnerability is found. And they should comply with the finding of the audit report and ensure the implementation of the security best practices. So these are some of the steps which have been taken at the national level, which are being implemented at the various levels in the government. Thank you very much.
Sure. Mr. Vijay, your closing comments before I come to you, Mr. Amit and Mr. Sarvanan and Mr. Sabrish, for your closing comments, please.
Yeah. On closer, I will like to mention that cybersecurity has to be taken seriously now. If we need to move on the digital path, as everybody wants to, you can't ignore, I think Mr. Samrish said, it cannot be the neglected child anymore.
Right.
We can't have the cake and eat it too. We want fast innovations, introduce every new technology in the, our business, and ease of, acquiring and retaining customers. But we do not give enough attention to the cybersecurity part. Leave alone 10% what Mr. Sanjeev said. Even 3% to 4% funds are very difficult to come by, and they do not come in time. Even if they come at the end of the year, then you can't procure a large system comprising of 200,000 users in a governmental system in a few days. It takes another 6 months to implement. By the time the technology has moved even further. So if we want to keep step with all these things, we need to up our game on the cybersecurity side only. Being aware of it and talking about it in some forum and everything, we have to go back and work on them as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't help. Yeah, talking only about it wouldn't help. Right. Mr. Amit sir, any closing comments from 1 minute?
ठीक है, मैं तो मतलब my total view or my total take on this would be कि numbers are important. I mean, how many people are we going to train to fight cybercrime? For me, I mean, mass appeal is something which I also think I should work on as a government, because as a government we have our obligation towards the citizen. As some panelists said that money, in fact, Mr. Vijay said that sometimes money for railways was not. I mean, if it is important, then railway wouldn't have gone for securing this. But money is not an issue. The issue is how our citizens are getting more and more benefited. At the same time, their system is secured, their privacy is secured. As Snehil said that, yes, we have to look into the data security also. Although it's not very important thing, as I think, because it's a very thin line where actually which data you think that should go to public and which data should not go to public. I mean, because of this, that this particular data should not go to public, we actually stop the total pipeline, which is wrong. So, I mean, this decision.
Very interesting. Very interesting, sir. And sorry, since I've been given a lot of examples, another example I see, and you spoke about end user awareness a lot, right? I have seen, people, decent cyber people, right? People like us who understand the risks of a cyber breach, still go to hotels, open restaurants, and ask for a Wi-Fi password, right? And connect to the net and then start doing net banking. So we can't, I agree that we have a larger responsibility, but somewhere the buck stops with us also. We need to start doing what we preach. Thank you so much, sir. Excellent points. Mr. Snehil, Sabrish, anybody who would want to go in, just do closing comments. I'm already getting nudged, saying we are almost on the time. Anybody, please.
Yeah, actually, just I want to say one thing. In my previous organization, actually, security was given more importance than the operations. Okay. But the current organization, that is a little bit different, actually. So we have to take a balance between the security and the operations. Okay, that is very important. The second thing, one is the importance point of view. The second is that the cost. If you see that actually in any data center, actually the cost of actually the real operational equipments, the security components, if you see that the security components are overwhelmingly higher than the normal regular, your server, your storage, your tape backup library, whatever may be that. Actually, that also we have to take into consideration before actually designing any kind of solution. That is my request, and also industry also to come up with how to balance both the things. That's my request. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Michael, anything you would want to say, or anybody else, please? Mr. Snehil, Mr. Sabrish, please.
No, anyways, actually, Fortinet is one of our partners here and Sabrish is one of our colleagues. So I have a very good relationship with Fortinet. Manages our firewalls for the data center and provides us VPN also. But just to conclude on the points, interesting points from every aspect, and I was pretty excited about what Mr. Vijay told about how they are approaching the entire aspect of security and modernization. And I would want to appreciate here CRIS specifically, because I feel that their systems have been pretty foolproof in the terms of the usage. The number of users that you deal with is tremendous, and you developed that system much before when we started talking about. The kudos to you, and I hope that we all evolve in a certain direction where our systems are catering the population as well as catering to the cost and the benefits of the security aspect. So that's it from my end. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So from my end, so we are working with many of these organizations where the people are panelists are represented here. We would be more than happy to engage with all the organizations, whether they are represented or whether they are viewing this, where we have a team of. I am a part of the technical team where we have around 50 people across India, where we will be more than happy to discuss your digital journey and talk about the security framework, what one should be looking at. And of course, being an OEM, we could be proposing as to plug or what are the solutions, what we can offer from our end. But overall, we are more than happy to discuss on that security framework, what one should be looking at and what technologies to adopt so that your security transformation along with the digital transformation can be a smooth journey where you don't end up in deadlocks after a point where your security framework, what you have started on is not able to scale up. That's all, Jaspreet, from my end.
Thank you, Michael. I think it's been a real pleasure, speaking to all of you, moderating this esteemed conference. Learned so many new things, so many new different perspectives. I wish all of you a very, very happy the rest of the Saturday. Thank you so much. Glad to be in touch with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was a very nice session. Thank you very much, Jaspreet ji.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for moderating it so well, and thank you all the speakers. And we will email your participation certificate through it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.